So I want to talk about the birth partner, still the birth partner. Hi, I'm Eva. I want to talk to you today about the birth partner. I really like this book. I'm going to preface this with, this is one of the required readings for donors birth training, so I had to read it, but I didn't have to endorse it. So that's the big difference here. I really, really like this book. I think this book is really good for doulas, but I think it's really, really, really good for people that will be accompanying someone who's giving birth. A partner, like a husband or wife, if you're just a friend that's coming, if you're a family member that's coming, all you grandmas or soon-to-be grandmas, I think it's just really important to understand, especially for people that have given birth, that this is not your birth. And so if you are going to be supporting someone during birth, your job is to support them and not to kind of like lead the way. And so it's really good for doulas because our job is to support the mother through her birth and let her birth her own way. And I think it's really important with family members because from what I've been hearing is that it gets a little tense in the birth room, at least from my friends' experiences as doulas. It gets tense when people are kind of pushing their own views on what should be happening during the birth on the mother compared to what she actually wants. So I thought that this was a really good book for doulas. I think it's really great if you're just going to be in the room in general. And I think it's good for moms too, just to have an idea of what your partner would be going through, whether your partner is a male or a female. The book tried to be inclusive, but you know, they tried. So the birth partner. I think this book is also really good because it helps families understand what the doula's role is. And I think especially because there's this assumption that doulas replace the partner in the birth room, which is absolutely not the case. I think this book does a really good job of explaining what a partner can be doing during certain times of birth compared to what the doula is doing during those same times of birth. And sometimes they work together and sometimes they are totally different. And so I think it's really a helpful book if you are considering getting a doula, also just to understand what your doula will be doing or should be doing or could be doing during before birth, during birth, and after birth. That is another reason why I like this book. It is definitely a birth book. Most of this book is focused on birth. But what I really like is that during each stage of birth and even the stages within the 3 major stages of birth is that it tells what the mom is going through, and then it tells what the partner may be feeling and then what they could be doing, and then it talks about what the doula could be doing during all these parts too. So I think it's just really helpful to just get an idea of kind of more of what to expect during a birth, particularly if you have a partner and a doula. I think that can be really helpful. There is a large section on medications. I think it's really helpful for people to understand what the medications do and how you may react to them and how it may or may not impact your baby. I know the sexy new thing is to have, or maybe not new, but like really sexy right now to have unmedicated births, and that's totally fine if that's what you want to do. And if that's what you want to do, I want to support you. But I think it also is good to understand what the different medications are, particularly if your birth takes a turn that you weren't expecting and then you do end up having to take medication, or if you were just planning a natural birth and then the pain is so much that you end up taking medication. I think it's just really good to understand what that medication does, how it is administered, what parts of your body does it affect for how long, what are the reactions, and also how that may impact your birth. So if you have an epidural, you are more likely to be giving birth on your back, leg in the bed, because the epidural affects your lower half of your body, and so your legs aren't very stable. It is a liability for you to be walking around, and therefore it's unlikely that we'll be doing a lot of the comfort measures that we would normally do if you didn't have an epidural. So just to understand what the medications are, that you have options, that you can ask questions. And I just think that it's just really helpful just to understand all of the things that could happen during birth. There is a section on C-sections, and I know that for some women having a C-section, it can be very traumatic, particularly if you were not planning on having one, or if you were just definitely hell-bent on not having one at all and then you had to have one, I think it's still important to understand what happens during a C-section. So what I like about this book is that it doesn't promote any particular kind of birth, but it does tell you all the different things that could happen during birth. And I think it's really important to go into that well-informed so that when things start happening, you can have a better idea. That being said, if you have a doula, she or he, although I haven't met any he doulas yet, but I'm maybe 2019, she can talk you through what is happening and help explain what's going on better. But if you already have like a vague understanding, this may also help you through birth and help keep you calm, which will lead to a less painful birth. I also like that this book did talk about comfort measures, explained what they were. It even gives examples of quite a few that you could do. So I think that that's really helpful to just have that in your back pocket, especially as a partner, and especially if you choose to not have a doula, then this is something that you can use, and this is something that can help make you feel more useful during the labor, so that you're not just feeling like you're just sitting there, just lost and not knowing what to do. So it does explain comfort measures, probably not as in-depth as your doula would, but it does explain some of them and gives you examples of some comfort measures that you could do with your partner to help her birth be slightly less painful. One thing that I did like is that they have a section called Key Questions for Informed Decision Making, and so these are questions that you should be asking the doctor if you have any concerns at all about what they are recommending or about what they are doing. It's recommended that you go over this beforehand, but these are also questions that you can ask during labor, so that if your doctor says we're going to do Pitocin, you can ask, like, what is it? Are there alternatives? What happens if we do nothing? The BRAIN acronym, which I'll go into in another video, but I like that it gives birth partner and person giving birth this information, because I think a lot of people find themselves feeling disempowered during birth. And so this way you can kind of like take some of your power back and understand what's happening and make informed decisions about what is happening to your body or your partner's body. I like that it had sections about considering who is in the room. I know some people feel pressured to have their family members in the room. If you think your family member is going to really stress you out, I would advise you to not have them in the room. And the book gives you a few other reasons, a few different things to think about when considering who is in the room, especially like if you are not comfortable with someone seeing your hoo-ha, they probably shouldn't be in the room because you are going to be exposed. And if you don't want, like your dad seeing your no-no, then maybe he shouldn't be in the room. I thought that that was a really helpful section for the book too. It also has a section on picking a doula, questions to ask the doula, which is always helpful, and I always advocate for you doing your homework on your doula. That said, I hope if you're in Connecticut, you'll pick me. But if not, that's cool too. But I like that this book gives you some questions to ask and some things to consider when hiring a doula, or even if you had never considered hiring a doula. I think it does present a good case for hiring a doula, which I'm always down for. That is my hopefully very brief review. Again, on the birth partner, I'm gonna have a link to it down below. Full disclosure, it's gonna probably be an Amazon affiliate link, so if you buy the book from the link, I'll probably get a few cents, but every penny counts. And again, I really did like the book. I really do recommend it, particularly for dads, because I think it's really just a good guide for what to expect, but I think it also is really helpful because it gives you really concrete things you can be doing at different stages of the labor. It tells you how to count contractions, talks you about some apps if you don't want to do it old school with pen and paper. And I think it's just a really concrete guide to whoever your birth partner is, be it your boo, your best friend. I think a lot of people go into the birth room blind, especially if they haven't given birth before, and I think that this can help you go into the birth room feeling a lot more informed and therefore feeling more confident, which is always really helpful. So again, it was required reading for my training, but I actually found that I really did enjoy this book a lot. I think it's very useful. As you can tell, I highlighted all kinds of things, and there's a bunch of stuff that's underlined, and I think it's really helpful. We referred to it a lot during training too, and I probably will keep referring to this. Probably will actually bring it to birth with me. Again, I give it a thumbs up. check it out if you want. If you've read it, what did you think? Are there other books that you would recommend? Are there other books that you want me to do reviews on? I'm reading tons of books, so I mean, I think that there will probably be a lot more reviews on this channel. And thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.